Welcome back to the SKOR North First Place for Now Twins Show. I'm Derek Wetmore.
Don't do that.
Ramie Makhlouf. Okay. Let me do this again. Welcome back to the SKOR North First Place Twins Show. I'm Derek Wetmore with Ramie Makhlouf, and Danny Cunningham joined us first hour. Now it's Judd Zulgad, the big righty, coming in. Manny Hill on the other side of the glass. Judd, how are you today?
After watching last night's debacle again, starting pitching-wise, I am annoyed.
You're annoyed, nervous?
No, I'm not nervous.
Annoyed.
No,
Okay.
I said this. Yankee series.
Okay.
No, I'm not nervous whatsoever.
This is where I wanted to start. I'm glad you brought
Fate
us.
will take you where you're destined now to go, which might be to your untimely demise.
Wow.
How's that for a start?
Very, very dark, but poetic. I appreciate it.
I'm
Given where the Twins are, 1 game up on the Cleveland Indians, 9 games left against that team, by the way. I don't think we can undersell that enough, Larry. Underscore it
Yeah,
enough.
because Kluber's going to start the last.
Sure. But here's my point is that, that was just one of the final 10 games, and oh my gosh, if we could have all that drama multiplied by 10, I think we're good here. That would be a fantastic and fun series. But here's my question. The Twins are 1 game up in the American League Central. Statistically, they probably win the division, given the cupcakes they've got coming up, but who knows? Also, statistically, likely to go to the playoffs, at a very least as a wild card. But Cleveland, man, has been charging for, 6, 7, 8 weeks now,
June
and
1st.
they made an interesting trade at the deadline.
Mhm.
I don't know if they got better, I don't know if they got worse, but it's interesting, and they did something. And their pitching, you just look on the stats page, looks amazing. Does the way that the two teams stack up right now for either of you guys, I'll start with you, Judd. Does the way that these two teams stack up tell you that the Twins made a mistake at the July 31st trade deadline?
1,000%, yes. A mistake that we told them not to make. A mistake that they were shown. If I'm a Twins fan, I'm PO'd. You can't, there's nothing that you can sit me down and tell me now that makes it a good idea. And I know that other teams, Stroman got traded, but I know that the Yankees and the Red Sox also did not improve their starting rotations. But there's nothing you can tell me, given how sports work, that this was a good idea to stand pat. Unless here's where things stand. If things don't go as well now, and they might not, as we thought that there was a chance to a couple weeks ago for 2019. If Kirilloff and Lewis aren't hoisting at some point in the next 5 years a World Series trophy, you bleeped up beyond belief. Beyond belief. Because you were given the gift of a special team, historic offense, and you know what? You had to be the one team, and I don't care what Brian Cashman did. I don't care what Dombrowski in Boston did. You had to be the one team that had to have the intestinal fortitude to say, this has a chance to be really special. Let's fortify it. And you passed on that. And so if the people that you didn't trade now are not hoisting a World Series trophy within the next 5 years, then you screwed up beyond belief.
Don't we need to know? And we might find out some of the details about what trade talks were had, what was asked for some of these guys who allegedly were on the market, reportedly were on the market. Don't we need to know what the price was that was being asked? And I'm not saying that the Twins are off the hook or making excuses for them because the Yankees and other teams around Major League Baseball outside of the Astros and the Indians really didn't make moves. It was a really slow market. I'm not saying compare yourselves to the other teams that made no moves. I'm just saying you have to look at the big picture. Michael Kadire joined us in the first hour. He said it perfectly. This doesn't happen in a vacuum. And the Twins were in the vast majority in not making a move before the trade deadline. Again, not letting them off the hook. I'm just saying I'd like to know, and maybe we will know further down the road, some of the details as far as what was discussed in these trade talks before we say that they were wrong in the way that they acted.
You have to make, if you are as good as we think you are, you have to be the one to make, if nothing, at the very least, the Stroman trade. He was traded. Yeah. That's incumbent. If I'm
now that I think that's fair because we do know the price that was paid for Stroman, so you can say, why didn't you pay X, Y, and Z to outdo that bid?
If I'm going to say that you are the next or in the same class as the Theos, then you have to have the sense of timing to pull the trigger on these trades, and the Stroman trade was made. And I don't want to hear, well, they asked for a lot and then they didn't call us back and we got aced. And that's not an excuse.
If
Call
the
them again.
if the
Go
negotiations
to Toronto, be on the doorstep.
if the negotiations broke down, that's your fault, right? I mean, I defend this duo at just about every turn because I think they deserve it. They're smart guys. They've built an amazing front office and like the business side of things. Like the Twins right now are as healthy as I've seen them since I started covering sports. It is incredible the work they've done behind the scenes, and it's paying off, it looks like right now, with a team that's on pace to win 98 games. That's not for nothing. But if you're on the phone with Toronto and for whatever reason, or let's say you had other starting pitchers in your sights, in your scope, and something happened that, well, either they just decided they don't want to trade him, or they decided they want to trade him to somebody else. That is on you. You are one of the bodies in this negotiating partnership. And if you thought that this team was good enough to win a World Series, so you didn't do anything besides Sam Dyson and Sergio Romo, okay, that's one thing. We might disagree on that, but that's something. But if you thought it needed to be added to and then you didn't add to it while Cleveland went and got creative and made some moves, that would, if I was a Twins fan, would probably leave a pretty bad taste in my mouth. And I think that's the people you're hearing from on Twitter right now.
Would Cleveland had made that move if they weren't they were sort of backed into a corner with Trevor Bauer. I know they still had a year of contractual control after this year, but they had an asset to move. And also what they were shopping for on the market was a lot more available and quite honestly cheaper than what the Twins were looking for.
Who else was looking for cornerbacks?
Every single team contending for a playoff spot other than the Indians was looking for arms. Nobody was looking for bats. So the Indians had the most valuable thing on the market, and they were looking for the cheapest thing on the market. Of course they could find a trade partner. The Twins were looking for the same thing that everybody else was, and judging by the rarity of the moves that were made, I got to think that the asking price was really high for pitching, both starting and relief, going into the trade deadline.
And you have to pay it. You absolutely have to. Your head.
I'm not saying I was one of the first people I think who said
you were.
I would trade Royce Lewis or Alex Kirilloff for the right guy.
Yes.
But I draw a line somewhere.
Okay, but if you believe, which I think we all at least did at one point, that this is a World Series team, not a playoff team. Okay, big difference. Big difference. They can still make the playoffs. But if you believe that this is a World Series team and you're Falvey in late July before the deadline hit, when your head hit the pillow at night, if you said to yourself, Martin Perez, we're okay there, then I got to rethink how I feel about you. That's the problem. If July 31st had hit and the starters were all doing pretty damn good, and now it's come unglued, I'd be like, oh, you know what? That's unfortunate. In hindsight now, you probably made a mistake, but I didn't see it. You didn't see it. It's unfortunate. But beyond the Barrios start on Tuesday, nothing that's happened is surprising. That's the problem. That's the conundrum. Kyle Gibson is Gibby. And that means if you put him up against a bad team, pretty damn good. Occasionally, if you put him up against a pretty good team, he can be okay. But last night did not surprise anybody in that ballpark. It's frustrating to watch, but it didn't surprise us, right? Martin Perez is a guy who deserves to be in a bullpen right now. His lack of success against the Braves didn't exactly surprise us. So the point being is, in the past 3 games in which I believe the starting pitchers have pitched to a tune of an 11.25 ERA, Barrios is the only one that surprises me. And that's a problem. I shouldn't be able to sit here and say that and say you had the chance to at least make a move, i.e. Stroman, and you didn't do it.
Do you think it comes back? I mean, not Perez. The
starting pitching?
But like Jake Odorizzi, can he have representative starts? Can Kyle Gibson be back to being a, 5-6 innings, 3-4 runs?
In the playoffs, probably. Odorizzi, maybe a little bit. Gibson, I don't think so now. But you know what? I mean, they're still going to play Detroit a ton, right? And Kansas City a ton.
Oh yeah, so it's going
to come back there.
Yeah. Okay.
But we were talking. But everything that we've been discussing in the past 2 months has been centered around one topic: World Series. And the opportunity was there. And, we can't have that discussion about 2021, 22, because we don't know. And I know he got hurt last night. It might be out for a while now. But when Nelson Cruz is having as great a season, you got to pounce there, because guess who's not going to be playing for you in 2022? Probably Nelson Cruz, right?
Well,
probably. But anyway, my
Tom
point
Brady
is
wants to play till he's 50.
nothing that we have seen in the past 2 games at least is shocking starting pitching wise.
Sure. Do you buy that it's coming back, Ramie, or are you? Because I heard this a lot last night. This is why I asked the question.
Mm-hmm.
The starters are all cooked. Maybe Brios is okay. And I should clarify, I'm not hearing this from the clubhouse. I'm not hearing this from the press box. I'm hearing this from Twitter.com. The starters are all cooked. The only one who's worth his weight in anything is Brios. And everybody else is just, you might as well fold up the tents and go home. 1, I think this team's still going to the postseason. But 2, do you think, Ramie, that some of those guys who've had bad starts the last week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks in Perez's case, do you think they do come back and can be representative?
Martin Perez might be cooked. Okay. I said at the start of the season, I don't think they'll continue to pitch this well as far as the starting rotation goes. And I'll say now, I don't think they'll continue to pitch this bad. I think that they will come. They regressed to the mean, went well past it, and now I think that they'll improve to the mean. And
their momentum past the mean.
Way past the mean. Way past the mean.
Too much.
Way just
guys, come back.
Come back to the mean now. And I think there will be improvement, and I think that we've seen Michael Pineda get better as the season has gone on, and I think that's because he's gotten healthier and in better shape as the season has gone on.
But he's not healthy right now.
I was just going to say, I think this most recent DL stint, and I'm not alone in thinking this, is not an injury. This is part of the process and of the plan of getting him healthier and getting him in better condition, because when you have knee tendonitis, it's a recurring thing that tends to regress the longer that you play on it. So I think that there is a workload management schedule going on here with Michael Pineda, and these are scheduled stints on the DL for him to make sure that he doesn't flame out. And I think that he could be a big surprise for the Twins down the stretch here, and a guy who you might be able to rely on to a certain degree with the bullpen that you have and with the offense that you have. I think Michael Pineda might come back from this DL stint good enough to get the job done.
Playoff series right now, who do you trust?
Starts with Brios.
And I'm still there as well.
Yep.
Just to be clear, I'm not. There are a lot of people bailing there. I'm not bailing.
This is your best shot.
Well,
that's what I think.
The people who are bailing on Barrios right now after the other day against the Braves are people that have just been wanting to bail on him. They've been wanting to find a reason to bail on him for a long time.
But I'll start
probably watch a lot of football.
I trust him. Okay, so
Barrios
playoff series, I trust him.
Pineda's not healthy right now. He's not available right now, but he's probably the second most trustworthy.
And that's what starts to scare me. Playoff series.
I want to see.
Not Kansas City.
I know. I want to see what Devin Smeltzer brings tonight. I'm all kinds of curious about this guy. Danny brought it up in the first hour, and he's right. His last time facing the Indians, not so great. But you know what sticks in my mind? The Yankees at Target Field. When he carved through them, pitched way better than Jake Odorizzi in the game that they basically piggybacked. That stands in my mind. His last start, that stands in my mind. Was it his MLB debut against the Brewers at Target Field?
That was good.
That stands in my mind. Like this, I don't think that they've just stumbled into an ace, but they've definitely got an interesting pitcher on their hands, and I want to see his big game mentality going up against the Indians tonight in a big game.
I find it to be very frustrating, though, if you are a Twins fan, when you are now saying Bieber Smeltzer, go get him, Devin.
Well, yeah, that's true.
That's where I find fault here.
Yeah, so we were talking about this just before you got in, Judd, just before we made our call to the bullpen. And like every game, just in theory,
and by the way, I'm throwing strikes,
starts with all of them.
I'm not throwing over the first 1,000 times.
Just fuel.
I'm not worried about Jose bleeping Ramirez on first base, okay? I'm not obsessed with him.
So every game you go into, it starts, let's say, 50-50. And then I look at the pitching matchup, and it's like, prime Roger Clemens versus... I don't want to pick a former old Twin.
Well,
just mean. Just going to dunk on somebody. So whatever. The pitching matchup. Just
go right ahead.
He had a great year.
I know. There's plenty of crappy Twins to pick on. How about Terry Felton from my days?
Well, let's do this. Okay, peak Pedro Hernandez versus Devin Smeltzer, a guy who I just built up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that goes from 50-50 to like 70-30. That's not a hot take. It's just that's how baseball swings. You still have a 30% chance to win that game, and if you got the better bats, like all of this stuff can play your way back to 50%. But I want to see Bieber, Smeltzer, instead of being 70-30, I want to see it be 60-40 if I'm the Twins. I want to see 55-45, and then I want to see Bombas away. It's possible that the Twins win a game where they're definitely not favored in the starting rotation matchup.
I think
they're going to have to win this
when you
series.
ask that question of who do you have faith in, again, I'm going to quote Michael Kadire, but on a different in a different scenario.
Really
which
quotable
is that
guy.
This doesn't exist in a vacuum. I don't have to trust the Twins starter to go out there and win a game for you on his own, because that's not what this Twins team is built on. You have one starter who might win a game for you. If it comes down to a pitcher's duel, yes, the only guy I have faith in is Jose Barrios. But do I have faith that Smeltzer can go out and win a game with that offense and what they did with the bullpen before the trade deadline? Yeah. Do I think Michael Pineda can go out and win a game? Do I think Jake Odorizzi can go out and win a game with that offense and that bullpen? Yeah, I don't count them out against anybody.
Against a playoff team, I cannot be down 5-0 after 3.
Right.
I'll put it that simply. It's
Jake
just like any other sport. I can't tell this offense, all right, boys, you love to score 8 runs, so score 8 runs again.
3 innings.
The last 3 games are instructive because I give this team credit. They don't go away. They continue to offensively produce. But it's not fair. It's not professional to have to every time be like, all right, 5-0 after 3. Now let's go get them. That's not professional. That's not playoffs. That's Babe Ruth, Little League.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's where the frustration lies that too many of these guys I don't have faith in. If you are playing the Yankees, the New York Yankees are constructed to score 17 runs per night when healthy. And if I'm playing them in the playoffs,
they're pretty good at doing that when they need
they
to.
are, but I can't have this where I have to go to Marwin Gonzalez and be like, Marwin, I need you to hit a 3-run homer.
Yeah, I need 6 ribs from you tonight.
I just can't do that to people.
Yeah.
That's not what you do to employees who have been as good as the Twins offensive employees have been in 2019.
Yep, and I think that you do get a little bit of those points back if you're the Twins, those percentage points towards 50 by having Taylor Rogers healthy and rested, by having Sergio Romo healthy and rested. That's 2 innings that I don't have to worry about. I didn't lose any sleep last night thinking if the Twins are up by a run going into the 8th inning, what's going to happen?
Right.
0 sleep.
Right.
Was lost over that. Now, how do you get to that? How can you get to a spot where you outscore them with Bieber on the mound, who's been great this year and is an amazing pitcher, with Devin Smeltzer going on the other side in another one of the biggest starts of his big league career in his